What if the stories you're trying hardest to avoid are the stories people must need to hear? Not your happiest memories, not your most polished experiences, but the moments that cracked something open inside you. The betrayal, the humiliation, the grief you still don't fully talk about. Buried inside those painful memories is something every great story needs, and that is the truth of the story, the honesty that lies in those painful memories. The truth connects faster than perfection ever will. Today, we are talking about why your most powerful creative ideas often come from your deepest emotional wounds and how to use them without even destroying yourself in the process. You will agree with me when I say that painful memories don't disappear easily. You could try to ignore them, but they keep coming back. And that is because your brain treats emotional pain as an important information. Think about it. You probably don't remember a random Tuesday 3 years ago, but you remember the breakup, the hospital room, the moment someone embarrassed you in front of somebody, or the night you realized your life was changing forever. While I was stating all these situations, the flashes of those memories were running through my brain. I still remember that hospital room where I lost my loved one. I remember the people in front of whom I felt embarrassed. Emotions create memories into us, and storytelling works the exact same way. People rarely remember stories because they were clever. They remember stories because they felt something. That's why creators often hit a wall when they only chase ideas that sounds interesting intellectually. But what about the ideas that are connected to genuine emotional experience? Those have the weight. Those breathe differently. Here is something most beginner storytellers don't realize. Your painful experiences give you emotional details you can never fake about. If you have experienced rejection, you understand the silence after someone stops replying. If you have experienced anxiety, you understand how ordinary situations suddenly feels dangerous. If you have experienced loss, you understand how grief shows up in tiny, strange moments. Those details are gold. Because authentic emotion creates believable characters, believable dialogue, and believable conflict. There is a honesty in those details. This is why two people can write about the same topic, but one version feels flat while the other destroys you emotionally. One comes from an observation, the other comes from a memory. I have read many memoirs. I love them. Some of the great memoirs are Poor by Catriona O'Sullivan, Mother Mary Comes to Me by Arundhati Roy. These are some great stories that led to an emotional transformation because they narrate truth. Similarly, most unforgettable stories are really about transformation. A person starts in one emotional state and ends somewhere different. And where do we experience the biggest transformation in real life? Usually, it is in pain and through pain. Pain forces identity shifts. It changes what we fear, what we value, who we trust, and who we become. That's why our hardest moments often contain the structure of a story. There is a before, there is a breaking point, and there is an after, even if that after is still unfinished. When you write your memoir, you don't retell your memory, you translate it into an emotion. And this part is extremely important. A lot of people think that emotional storytelling means turning your trauma directly into content. That's not necessary. The goal isn't confession, the goal is emotional translation. Maybe your story about rejection becomes a base for writing a children's book. Maybe your experience with burnout becomes a fantasy story about a healer who slowly loses magic every time they help others. The facts can change, but the emotional truth stays intact. That's what audience connect to. We humans connect easily to the vulnerable moments. There is a strange thing about vulnerability. The more specific and honest we become, the more universal your story feels. Pain isolates us privately, but it connects us collectively. Someone reading your story might feel understood for the first time, not because you solved their problems, but because you articulated emotions they never had words for. And that's what art has always done. It tells people you're not the only one. If you have watched this video till this time, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more videos that could help in making your writing journey about nonfiction easier. But there is another side to this conversation that most people don't talk about. Not every painful memory is ready to be written about immediately. Sometimes creators try to turn their fresh wounds into content before they have emotionally processed it. And instead of creating clarity, they just relive the pain over and over. And here is a useful question to ask in those moments. Can I shape this memory, or does this memory still control me? If the memory completely overwhelms you every time you revisit it, you need to create a distance before turning it into a creative work. There is strength in honesty, but there is always wisdom in timing. So, if you want to uncover stronger story ideas, stop asking, "What's the cool plot?" and start asking, "What moment changed me? What emotion do I still carry? What experience do I secretly wish someone understood? And what memory still feels unresolved?" That's where depth starts. And often the story idea it is hiding in the emotional contradiction, wanting love while fearing intimacy, wanting success while hating attention, wanting freedom while fearing uncertainty. Contradiction creates tension, and tension creates powerful stories. Your painful memories are not automatically meaningful stories, but inside many of them, there is an emotional truth, and emotional truth is rare. That's why audience can instantly feel when something is real. So maybe the story you have been searching for isn't somewhere out there. Maybe it is buried inside your heart, inside the moments you have spent years trying not to visit. Not to trap yourself in the pain, I must tell you about that, but to transform it into something that finally speaks to you and then to your reader. And sometimes that transformation helps other people to heal as well. If this resonated with you, comment below what life experience changed the way you see stories. And if you want more videos about storytelling, psychology, creativity, and emotional writing, subscribe and hit the bell. I will see you in the next video.